Number 5. Sudan. Sudan was the first country in sub-Saharan Africa to recognize the People's Republic of China. That was back in 1959. The diplomat calls it China's original foothold, which should not be confused with the original Footloose. You can tell the difference because Footloose had Kevin Bacon and Sudan had genocide. Sudan is a conflict-torn country that holds the record for the longest-running civil war in Africa, resulting in the deaths of 2 million people and the breakup of the country into Sudan and South Sudan. Here's Sudan's leader Omar al-Bashir at the recent China-Africa summit in Beijing. Bashir's name might sound familiar because of all the war crimes he committed in Darfur, allegedly. But things are looking up for Sudan since it's set to get the largest share of that $60 billion Xi Jinping pledged to Africa back in September. Chinese investment in Sudan has given China control of around 75% of the country's oil industry, under the supervision of the China National Petroleum Corporation. Although some of the facilities are fixer-uppers, some of that Chinese money was used to upgrade the Khartoum refinery and double production to 100,000 barrels a day, which is important because the vast majority of that oil goes to China. And there are plenty of other resources to tap in Sudan too, like gold and loyalty. Sudan's estimated debt to China is now $6.4 billion. And with China's pledge to provide more financing, that debt could balloon big time. According to this IMF report, Sudan's external debt is assessed to be unsustainable. But that's not even so bad compared to several other countries, including number 4, the Republic of the Congo. Not to be confused with the Democratic Republic of the Congo, its larger and less democratic neighbor. The Republic of the Congo owes China $7.3 billion.
China and Congo have launched projects worth several $billion. These include a motorway between Brazzaville and the economic capital of Pointe-Noire, the construction of Brazzaville Stadium, a hydroelectric dam, and upgrades to the country's airport.
According to a paper by the China-Africa Research Initiative, the Republic of the Congo is one of 3 African countries, alongside Zambia and Djibouti, where Chinese loans make up the most significant contributor to high risk of debt distress. So, what does this Chinese debt mean?
It's a growing amount. We don't know the conditions. And these countries are going to be increasingly leveraged to repay that. When they're unable, China will make additional demands. These countries will have less money to spend on social services and other programs. It's somewhat of a downward spiral.
The mere thought of those additional demands are making Congo's president break out in a sweat. Some of the projects there have raised eyebrows, like when Chinese companies built the new Congolese parliament building for free. Maybe it's so they can make sure the offices are set up just the way they like it when Congo defaults on its debts and Chinese officials move in and take over. No, I'm just kidding. The Chinese regime doesn't want to take over. It's more likely they built the parliament building so they could bug the whole thing, like they did with the African Union building. More on that in a few minutes. According to the IMF, Congo is officially in debt distress, and they've been shopping around for a bailout. But it's not going to be easy. When the IMF did some due diligence, they found the Republic of the Congo may be hiding part of its debt. The country claims its debt-to-GDP ratio is 77%. But the IMF calculated that ratio to be 117%. They accused the government of lying and called for an anti-corruption watchdog to be set up before they agree to release any funds. But I have a better idea, one that won't require Congo to clean up its corruption. Congo is a major oil producer, so maybe China will agree to take oil as collateral and then lend them some more money. It'll be win-win for China. Number 3, Kenya. Home of the famous Maasai warriors.
Kenya's Maasai warriors may have used spears like these to hunt wild animals in the past, but now they're using them to take part in the Maasai Olympics.
In the past, young Maasai men proved themselves by killing lions. But now, with its debt to China at nearly $8 billion, the Maasai are instead hunting for cash. More money, fewer dead lions. Win-win. But not all Kenyans feel like they're winning. There are reports of disgruntled travelers on a new $3.5 billion railway built and funded by China.
Customers complain tickets can be bought one way only and just 3 days in advance.
The 290-mile Nairobi-Mombasa Railway is Kenya's biggest infrastructure project since the country became independent in 1964. Its catchy slogan, with Chinese characteristics, is "Connecting nations, prospering people." Kenya's president loves his train sets so much that he recently secured another $3.6 billion loan from China to extend the railway line by 155 miles. Opposition parties say the project is too expensive, won't generate enough revenue, and is a ticking financial time bomb, because after a 10-year grace period, Kenya has to start paying back the loan. But Kenya's president isn't worried, because that'll be the next president's problem. Number 2, Ethiopia. Ethiopia owes China an estimated $13.5 billion. But don't worry, China's ambassador says by lending all this cash, China is not only helping Ethiopia, but the entire world.
China sometimes feels lonely because we are almost one of the biggest and the only country that has invested heavily in the development of infrastructure in this country. Because we believe finally the development of infrastructure has not only served the local people, the host country, it has also served the investors from other countries.
How selfless. Chinese money and Chinese workers built Ethiopia a rail link to neighboring Djibouti, and a system of trams in Ethiopia's capital, Addis Ababa.
It's good they're building the tram to reduce the traffic jams in the city. With regard to quality, I think the Chinese did an okay job, but still it might have been better to give it to a Western company.
Well, at least the quality is okay. Not as high-tech as the African Union headquarters China built in Ethiopia, though. That building is so advanced, it was able to spy on people inside and transmit confidential data to Shanghai each day for 5 years. In China's defense, it wasn't a bug. It was a feature. And number 1, Angola. Angola is the African country with the most debt to China, $25 billion.